version of Bill Rhoden on Sports live. Uh, you know, all five of you, join the conversation. Anyway, I'm here at an undisclosed location, upstate New York, uh, and here with my friend and my co-host, the great Jamal Murphy, holding it down. Is you an undisclosed location, or do you want to let everybody know where you are?
Yeah,
Murph.
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It's a large borough, so I should be safe out. Uh, Specifically in Bed Stuy, which is a rapidly changing neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's all good out here.
Yeah, you'll be. Are you safe from the Jokic's and the Jokic lovers? I heard
No,
they're having like a vigilante campaign. It's kind of like what they do in like Russia. They ask you, you know, everybody wants something. You say something positive about Jokic. If you don't, they're gonna like drag you out of your house and like burn you at the stake.
yes,
Who's the greatest of all time? What's your answer? Bill Rupp? No. Kareem Abdul? No. Michael Jordan? No. Jokic? Yes. Okay, you can stay. You know.
that's right. That's right. It's Jokic season. All Jokic fans getting their comeuppance. And
Yeah.
but Bill, he put up some big time numbers. He got his team over the hump.
He had
Uh,
great numbers.
yeah,
I mean, he had a. I think we need to clarify what the issue is because a lot of my white brethren in the sports media, 82% of the sports media, which is white and
right,
male,
right,
yeah, typically whenever you touch this whole thing of racism, it always touches this nerve and people kind of overreact. And you would think that people who control every damn thing else, it's not, when it gets to this thing of racism and the NBA, it always touches a nerve, and it's on full display now with Jokic. And the issue is, Jokic had a great postseason. I mean,
right.
maybe the greatest. I mean, a great postseason.
Yeah.
Great. I mean,
Numbers
he
wise, it might have been the greatest ever. Numbers
and
wise.
even
Yeah.
numbers wise, performance wise. I mean, he just was great. Uh, I'm not hearing anybody disputing that. I mean, you'd have to be sightless to do that. The problem I think that some of our white brethren have is that it's not enough. It's just kind of like when the Native Americans, when the first white settlers came and the Native Americans wanted to share, and they said, no, 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 it ain't enough for us to share. We want all of it. We want everything. We want your village. We want your territory. We want everything. And I think that's the whole thing with this. It ain't enough to say the guy's great. It's not enough.
Right.
He's got to all of a sudden jump to be the greatest ever, greatest of all time. And when you don't jump there, then it's like you're a hater. I said, no, man, nobody, but it's like Aretha Franklin came out after the first couple of records. They didn't anoint her greatest of all time. I said, man, you talk about Bessie Smith, Sarah Vaughan, Billie Holiday. I mean, there's a whole universe before you start talking about greatest of all time, you know. And Aretha stood the test of time. She was great over a period of 25, 30 some years. Sarah Vaughan had like a 40-year career. Ella Fitzgerald, I mean, even Beyonce, a long time. Beyonce just didn't come up with first record, but he's greatest of all time. So with Jokic, man, I think he's great, and we all agree that he's great. But for you to want to drag us beyond great and the greatest of all time, and unfortunately, we'll know something in the next 5 or 6 years we just cannot know today.
Right. Right.
We don't know where he's going to be. He's 28. Where is he going to be when he's 35, when he's 36, when he finally retires? At that point, now we can begin to prosecute his career.
Right.
But could you just allow us to enjoy him and enjoy this great run this year without having to ejaculate every time, and put him all already in the front of the line? Now, go ahead.
No, no, and I think there's a few things to it. Obviously, like you said, 82% of the media is white, so I don't think they even understand. A lot of it is subconscious. A lot of the great white hopeism is subconscious. They don't even realize they're doing it. Where on the flip side, black people, our antennas are up ahead of time.
Right.
Okay, because we've seen it. We've seen this time and time again. Uh, so we go into it almost knowing it's coming. So
Right.
our antennas like, oh, what, there it is,
Here we
there it
go.
is.
Here we
You know,
go.
we're trying to stop it before it gets too crazy. You
Right.
know, that's why we're bringing it up. So when we hear things like, you know, there's these little code words, and we always talk about them in every sport, but the code words like, oh, he's so smart, oh, he's
Right.
not athletic, but you know, he's so smart, and he plays the game with his head and all that kind of stuff. That's when the antennas go up. Like, come on, calm down. First of all, every superstar is very smart.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like, you can't
Right.
be a superstar basketball football player without knowing the game to a T and having a high IQ. It's
Right.
impossible to be great, right? You name any great player. LeBron, he's a genius basketball player. All
Right.
right, all of them, all the greats are genius basketball players. So don't give me this Jokic stuff and then just overdo it with how smart he is, because we know where that's coming from.
Right.
It's that simple. And then the other part of it is the sports media in general is just asinine. Like, you know, they white or black. Whenever as soon as someone wins, they want to say he's the greatest ever, or you know. And right before they won, we criticize them, and you know, we criticize them all day and night, and then all of a sudden they win, and now are they the greatest ever after one
Right.
championship?
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. So, they're having their parade today. Denver is having their parade today. Uh, and one thing, Jokic will not have to worry about not getting his flowers.
oh, he gonna get the
I
flowers.
mean, they're about that entire florist of Colorado. You know,
Right, right,
uh, but it was I don't know if you'd say it was a great series, and I know that some people say, well, who they had to play to get there, and I don't really care about that. I mean, you could only play who's in front of you.
right,
That's all you could do. You could just play who's in front of you
right.
and beat them. And that's what they did. You know, Miami was in front of them and they beat them and they were just better. And a large reason they were better was because Jokic. Now, and you're right, if Jokic doesn't play, they ain't having no parade today. You
Oh,
know,
right, no
no
question.
question. There's no question about it. No question about
Yeah, and Miami, you know, not the most talented team we've seen, but they were one of the tougher teams we've seen.
it. Yeah.
And you know, they beat Boston, who people probably thought was on Denver's level talent wise, but Denver was tougher. Denver, you know, was more disciplined. Denver was a little more had more veteran leadership on their team. They played, you know, Boston was supposed to be a great defensive team. Denver really was a great defensive team. They laid it all on the line. They pretty much shut down Jimmy Butler,
Oh,
who, you know, before the series, you know, people were telling me he was Michael Jordan. And
right.
now, you know, I don't, you know, I guess I don't know. He's Michael Jordan's
That
nephew or
might,
something. I don't know.
yeah, it's first, second cousin removed. Yeah, I mean that's the flip side of the Jokic conversation is Jimmy Butler.
Right.
You know, uh, now I guess we'll find out any day now about Jimmy Butler's ankle that he was hurt, and that's why. But do you think his image legacy really took a hit in terms of I mean that now they're really good players, they're role players, they're excellent players, they're star players, then they're superstar players, then they're players of all time. And I guess the debate around Jimmy Butler was he a superstar or he was just a star player for the Heat. And did he get knocked down a peg during the finals?
Yeah. Well, you know, people are saying he was injured. You know, that's come up. I mean, I'm watching him play. I mean, yeah, sure. You know, he had an ankle injury, but it didn't look like, you know, I didn't see any limp or anything like that. I just think, and to me, I mean, he had a couple. To me, Jimmy Butler is a great player, a lot of heart, but he has limitations to his game. He's not thought of as a superstar for a reason because
Right,
you can't just give him the ball. He's not going to elevate over you. He's not 6'10", you know, and able to do all this kind of stuff. He's not the best athlete on the floor, so he has limitations. He plays hard, he works hard, and he get, you know, and that's how he gets his points. To me, after Game 3, I think it was really Boston in the Boston series. After Game 3, it was Boston really had the blueprint of how you stop them. They just stopped going for any pump fakes. You know,
right,
they put a, you know, as long as you put an athlete that's his size or above that can that's the same athletic ability, and you're disciplined and don't go for the pump fakes, you can contain Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what Denver ended up doing. I mean, he was still doing what, like when they put a smaller guy on him, he would back him down and score on him, most of the time. But when you put somebody, his size with his same athleticism, and you just are you stay disciplined, you can stop him, and that shows his limitations. So I just, they tried. Not, I mean, it's the media, and it was his fans. I mean, I don't blame Heat fans for getting wrapped up in the Jimmy Butler phenomenon, but
Yeah.
I think both the Celtics when they were down 0-3, and then Denver, they kind of showed you his limitations.
Yeah. 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 My, the last class of Rhoden Fellows, our latest class, part of their assignment was to watch the game and then write a game story to be submitted an hour after it. And they were saying, they were kind of getting on Jimmy Butler's case. Like, where's Jimmy Butler? Somebody going back to Miami. Of course, as soon as somebody texted that, he went and scored 9 consecutive points.
Right.
And then of course he made the bad pass. So if you ask the question, I mean, the NBA finals are over, and if you ask the question, whose legacy is enhanced, hands down, it's Jokic. I mean,
Yeah, no, hands down, hands.
yeah,
And I'll say this: statistically, and during the season, he had a great regular season, and statistically, I know in the end, Joel Embiid, kind of took control of the MVP
yeah.
race. But if you looked at the numbers, all the numbers combined, Jokic was probably better statistically because
Oh yeah,
he with the assists, I mean, he damn near averaged a triple double all season. He was close, and he did the same thing in the playoffs. But I think he didn't get that. No one wanted to give him that third MVP to put him in an immortal status until he did something close to immortal. You got to, you got 2 in a row. They're not going to. We no. If I were a voter, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to give him the third MVP to put him on Larry Bird's, level, or Bill Russell's level when you haven't done anything in the playoffs yet.
right.
So now that he's done that, next year he's eligible again for the MVP. Okay, he might win it next year because we're not going to hold any playoff situation against him anymore. So if he
So
puts up
you're
these
saying
same
next year
numbers, yeah,
we could give him the MVP he didn't win this year.
right. Now, okay, fine.
All
Now
right.
you showed us you could actually do it in the playoffs. Okay, we'll give it to you because his numbers are always crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good luck to whoever's trying to get the MVP against him next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make Kendrick Perkins give him give him the MVP award. You know. Yeah, I mean, after the season, they could have. I mean, after this playoff, they could have made MB come to Denver and give the trophy back. Hey, man, give your MVP trophy back.
Yeah,
I
yeah, and
mean,
they might,
this
and they
is the
might,
year
yeah, and they might it should have because Embiid didn't look too good in the playoffs. Like he didn't really, there were games there that he
he didn't look like this guy.
not at all, not at all.
Now, of course, now he had the James Harden tax, and that's a tax burden that Jokic did not have to have. Now, let's do that. Let's put Jokic with James Harden.
Right, right.
And now and put Jamal Murphy, I mean Jamal Murphy, I
Murray.
mean Jamal Murray with Embiid, and will things change, So yeah, I mean, overall it was it was a fairly entertaining series, though. I don't know how you felt. I just felt it was never in my mind. I was surprised that Miami won one game. You know,
Yeah, just the way you saw how they were able to grit it out against other teams who were more talented. So I thought that they could do that, but it was all based on whether Denver could match their intensity and toughness, and they did.
they
And then
did.
and if they matched that, they were just too much for Miami. And Boston like could have done the same, but they weren't. They didn't have that same discipline. They were disciplined for 3 games, right? And then I guess when they won that game 6, they thought that was the series.
Yeah,
Once they got it home, I think they thought, okay, we did it, and that's Boston's whole problem. Once they get comfortable, they're terrible.
yeah. That was their game 7, and I think maybe emotionally
Yeah,
they just had no more in the tank. You
Right.
know, after that, I mean, think of how they won.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler his three foul shots with .03 left on the clock, and you got to be thinking we're dead. You know, we're dead
Yep.
unless unless it's something bizarre, and there was something bizarre. But to win like that emotionally, and I don't know. I just think that then you go back home, and the crowd is really emotionally they want more, and you may have reached in the tank and realized the tank was empty.
Right.
There was just no more there. Um, so based on, I was trying to think of who won the finals last year. Who won the NBA finals last year? Five
La-
seconds less.
last
Last year, oh,
last
Golden State.
Golden State. Yeah, yeah.
Golden State. Uh,
That was a tough question actually.
yeah, it was. You think of it, but it was that to me was probably a more entertaining series
Yeah.
because the teams were neck and neck, and it was close and all that. Uh, let me ask you a question before as we wrap up the Jokic part. When was the last? And this could be probably part of the Great White Hope problem too with these guys. When was the last time the finals, NBA finals, were dominated by a white player? The talk was dominated by a white player. Uh, and I know when what's the name from Dallas um, won it, Dirk, but
Right.
I don't remember Dirk being like talked about like this.
No.
It's almost like is LeBron, why did LeBron lose?
Yeah. It
You
was
know,
more like that. I mean, you probably. I mean, I can't. You probably have to go back to Bird.
yeah,
That's the only time I can remember. Maybe maybe that I forget what year where he beat Magic pretty bad, and they started calling Magic Tragic Johnson. you know, so and Bird was a
Magic Johnson.
three time regular season MVP. So he came into that series. Everybody saying he was the best player in the league.
Yeah,
He probably had it worse than Jokic because Jokic people were still kind of questioning whether he could do it. Can he get over the hump? Bird, I think people he was God. He was God for real.
yeah,
You know, so they there was no question in their minds whether he could do it. Um, so I mean, so it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and we talked about this last episode. It's also a difference, right? Because he's foreign. He's a foreign-born player still,
right.
so you still don't have that total great white hope ism going on. It's there, but it's not as bad as it would be
If it was
if
like
he
Tyler Hero,
yeah
yeah,
if he were the best player in the league or something like that.
yeah, yeah. I guess they said we'll take him.
Yeah, they'll take him now.
You
They'll
know,
take him.
you know, and he seems from everything you've seen. I mean, again, we always make some mistakes. Oh, he seems like a nice guy. I don't know if he's a nice guy or
Yeah,
not.
we don't know if he's a
I
nice
mean,
guy,
we
but
spend like
yeah,
20 minutes around these guys. They're nice guys. If they give us interviews and great interviews, they're great guys. You know,
that's the thing. I like him. And that's the funny thing about this whole discussion is, and you talk about this all the time too. It's not the player. It's the reaction to the player that's annoying and creates the backlash and gets black people's antennas up. That's why, and I always call it like the whole controversy has been made by a few white journalists who are they go on the offensive,
yeah,
I call it the reverse great white hopeism because
right,
now they try to get on you for
right,
calling out their biases,
right,
or they want to stop it. They want to change the narrative before before you can attack.
right.
It's like a preemptive strike. They're gonna bring up
I
they're
see.
gonna bring up race. We
Always
don't
playing the
like
race card.
we never think about race
Right.
ever. We
I
don't
just
we even know our subconsciousness. We don't think about it like that. Come on.
right, right. I'm married to
Yeah, exactly. Like, give me a break.
yeah.
So
No,
I mean, so to me, it's never about the player. Like I was rooting for Denver this series. I like Jokic. I like the entire Denver team. I like the coach. I like Jamal Murray. I was rooting for all those guys.
yeah,
Bruce Brown from when he was at Brooklyn. It was great to see him show his game, and then people people are like, oh well, he improved so much, or he didn't, where the Nets didn't use him right. Well, the Nets had like 8 perimeter players, so this guy was actually good enough at a guard size to play power forward for the Nets. Like he was basically like the four-man for the Nets, cutting to the basket. Uh, and then when he gets to Denver, he plays backup point guard and shows his perimeter skills. So I was happy for him
Yeah,
and
then
a lot of
Gordon.
guys.
Didn't we have Gordon on our show a while back?
Aaron Gordon, yep, yep,
Didn't we have Aaron Gordon on our show a
we
while back?
did. Great kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great kid. He gave us an A.
Yeah, great kid. We know him well. We talked to him for half an hour.
Yeah, we ought to dig that up, and we
Oh
ought to
yeah, yeah.
repurpose.
That was a good one.
Yeah, he was with
Um,
Orlando at the time, I think.
yeah, he was Orlando, and he was basically considered Orlando's best player. Now he fills a different role with was a role player basically, but a hell of a role player. So
Yeah, Michael
they
Porter
had a
Jr.
good team, and it'll be so we'll see next year. They're going to be the favorite. So can they withstand all that? You still got maybe Golden State in the picture. Who knows what the Lakers are going to look like? And then in the East, what is Giannis? People are going to be talking down on him because he lost in the first round. How does he bounce back? Who else is in
So,
the East? Oh,
so
Boston. We don't know what they're
yeah,
going to look like. So Philly,
Philly, yeah, with a new defensive minded coach,
right?
but the same players.
Same players. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're going to have to do something about that same player situation.
yeah. But who
Yeah.
goes? What if you're go? Each team you mentioned, we could. I don't want to extend the NBA season too much further, but
Right.
each team, what does LA have to do? Uh, in the West, what does LA have to do? What do you think Golden State has to do?
Mm.
Uh, does Denver have to do anything? Utah, I don't know if that's even in the discussion.
No.
Uh, and then in the East, what does Boston have to do? Um, the Nets have suddenly dropped off the map.
Yep.
Uh, you know,
Well, Dame Lillard. Everybody's talking about he might finally get traded from Portland, and the Nets and the Heat are being talked about of places he would want to go. So I mean, if the Heat were to get Dame Lillard, that would be pretty scary, I think,
yeah,
because then they have a legitimate star. Like then Jimmy Butler becomes like rightfully where he should be, like a second option on a championship team.
yeah. But why are you going to bring? What is Dame? Dame is it like Dame 33 or 34 or something like
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Is that what they need? They need.
I mean, he has a couple good years left in him.
Yeah,
It's not a long-term plan,
yeah.
but I think he has at least a couple of years left in him. He's looking a lot better than Harden. His 33 is different from Harden's 33.
Well,
You
Harden.
know.
Yeah.
Did you hear the Bill Simmons had Doc Rivers on his podcast
Mm,
a couple days ago, and Doc was like you said, when you talk to Doc, very very friendly guy.
yeah.
Talks speaks honestly for the most. Seems like he does.
Right.
And Bill Simmons asked him about Harden, and he tried to be diplomatic, but a couple times he said things like, I wish I would have had the younger Harden, or he just can't finish like he used to.
Right.
But it's very smart. Still a great player, still a smart player. But
I wish I had the younger heart.
who doesn't?
Yeah, that ship has left. That ship has sailed. Last thing before we talk about what about the Celtics? Well, let's talk about what do the Celtics need to do, and then we could end up by talking what's more about Jokic, so we could
Right.
more about Jokic.
No, I think the Celtics. I mean, I think they should hold on to Jaylen Brown unless I can't see them being able to upgrade that position, for especially if you talk about age wise, like somebody who's still young and has that many years. If he's willing to sign, if he wants to be in Boston, I would try to keep him. I think you need some defensive minded players. You need some veteran tough minded players. They kind of to me this year they had too many guards. Kind of guys who wanted to do the same thing, but they weren't like they didn't strike you as like a really tough team. And then the coach, it was his rookie season. I think he needs to focus more on defense as Udoka did. Udoka was a defensive-minded coach. I think Mazzulla was more like, new age offensive, put up 3-point shots, analytics, that type of thing, where it was that defense that really carried the day for them last time. But I mean, they didn't win it last year either. So you know, you know, I don't know how much you blame Missoula for what happened this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You blame him for everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's as Doc would say. If you're the coach, you get blamed for everything.
And as for the Lakers, you mentioned the Lakers. Like, what do they need to do? I mean, I don't know what they can do. I mean, they're going to have LeBron and AD. To me, those two guys aren't going to get it done anymore. So unless you bring in some guy who's better than both of them, and LeBron is going to be 39 years old. Like, what? It's not even a slight to him. It's like, what is he supposed to do? He can't carry the load like he used to. So I don't know. I don't see how the Lakers get much better, or at
Well,
least
that's the
better.
problem.
Better, they just got swept by Denver, so they're obviously not that close to Denver right now. So what can they do? I don't know.
Yeah. Trade LeBron.
Exactly.
Trade Anthony
That's not
Davis.
going to happen.
Well, who? Who do you? I mean, you raised a great point. What else can they do? They're at the ceiling now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got to see what happens 4 or 5 years down the line. I guess they got to rebuild.
Yeah. And then the Clippers. You know,
Oh man.
Kawhi and George can't even walk. You know, Again, and that's another thing when we talk about this whole thing of greatest all time. Remember when Kawhi was making his run,
Yeah.
leading Toronto and all that, and he had a
Mhm.
great NBA playoff run, and everybody like Kawhi Leonard. Well, now we're looking at the rest of his career to this point, and it hasn't played out. He's been injured, he's been hurt, you know, um, So you just have to let these things breathe. So one final thought about Jokic in Denver.
I'm going to congratulate Jokic. Like I said, I was rooting for him. I'm very happy for him. I would have to say he's the best player in the league. I might start my team with him if I had to pick any player in the league. I would start my team with him. But let's just chill out with the nonsense. He's one of the top 5 players of all time, or he's the best center of all time. Like, oh, you can't make that judgment without watching his career. Forget, like,
Right.
you can't. I mean, it even sounds ridiculous to say that someone who has one championship is the best player ever, or even in that discussion. Like, we don't make. Let's not even talk about that until we see 5, 6 years down the line that he has 2 or 3 more championships at least.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Let's see. But
Right.
in our business, I granted they've got a radio show to do,
Right.
and the season's over, and
Right.
Jokic is so I get it. Well, you just have to kind of extend it, and even some of this stuff, the inferring the racial dynamic
Right.
is another way of kind of keeping it stirred up. You invent an argument, although, Frank quoted me,
Yeah.
dragged me into it.
Yeah.
But
It's
we'll
like
see.
it's like you always say, like when you bring up race, as soon as you bring up race to people who don't want to talk about race, or want to pretend that it doesn't exist, they get all up in arms and get defensive. Right away. They shut you down. They don't even
Yeah,
want to talk about it. Right.
yeah,
So, and that's kind of what happens. If, like I said, there's a reason why, black people in particular will bring this stuff up. Because we've seen it before. We've seen it in every area of life, including sports all the time, right? So we're sensitive to it. So don't try to act like we're, it's just like everything else. It's like the reverse racism crowd. Like, if you bring up any sort of racism, you're the racist. So now,
right,
like come on, man. Like, it's intellectually dishonest.
yeah,
um, or you're just not smart enough to talk about to have the discussion, which might be true too. So
yeah. That's the worst combination of everything.
right,
I was thinking when I was in Denver, I had to take a Uber to the airport to pick up a car, and I had this white driver, and again because I've been listening to this audio book called "Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois," and it was really a fantastic book, but it had to deal with a lot of slavery and the history and that stuff, and how slaves would be mistreated on the plantation by their white overseers, bosses, if they did any kind of thing perceived to be uppity. So this guy, the driver didn't know where the hell he was going, and I had to keep telling him, and he kind of got a little, like you're telling me what. And I kept thinking about that. See, that's the problem. If this would have been like 1901 or something, and I'm telling him, correcting him, because he's a dumb white guy, then he pulls over, and I get pulled over, and I find myself in jail or worse. Sorry, I was just in that kind of mood. But yeah, so congratulations, Jokic. Thank you for allowing us to have this frank conversation about racism. And the thing is, I don't think Jokic gives a damn.
Yeah, no, that's why I like him. He doesn't care. He did. I think he didn't even want the MVP because he doesn't.
Right.
He's like, I don't need to deal with this conversation.
Right.
He's probably, think about it. I'm a foreigner. I'm not even from here. I don't want to. I'm in America. America with all these race issues.
Right.
I'm just like, you know what I'm saying. Like I don't have anything. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm just playing ball. I'm just out here dominating.
Right.
Because I love to do it. Like don't put me. Don't use me as your little
Right.
scapegoat or whatever.
You want to go home. That's what he said.
I just want to win and go home. So
Go
please,
back to the farm, go back to Serbia. It was funny in the bubble because I was always wondering what was his reaction to the Black Lives Matter thing during the bubble. And I think there were 3 players, the NBA as their gesture, let the players put anything on their jersey, like hope, freedom, when they were letting them do anything, oh yeah, go ahead, just run wild, just do anything, it's fine with us.
Right.
Yeah, just play. But Jokic, LeBron, I think Anthony Davis are the only ones that didn't put any. They just put their names.
Really?
On the back, yeah.
Those Jokic, 3: Jokic, LeBron, and Anthony Davis.
I believe are the ones just put their names on the back. So make of that what you want. But I would be curious, just to have a conversation. What was Jokic during that time when he saw, the guy getting murdered and all that, and was he like, hey man, I'm just trying to play basketball?
Probably. He was probably the same way. Like, hey man, I'm just play basketball, do my job, and go home afterwards. That's it.
Well,
so, but I mean, I like Jokic. Like even after he lost, and I know that's the problem. Like I'm saying, I like Jokic, and I like the gestures he made in terms of even after the game. Like he wasn't even celebrating. He was like going over there, like shaking the hands of other players,
right.
Consoling guys who lost. Like that was his first thing. But then, and I appreciate that. But then when some people tell the story, they're like they try to make it as opposed to what some black player would do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They said, look at this guy. He went and he shook every single person. I mean, he shook every single person's hand on the thing.
Right.
Look, every single person. And
I'm like, you think a black superstar would do that? Hell no.
Would LeBron do that? No, did I go back and they'll show Isaiah when they walked? I mean, it's and that's what I'm saying, guys, you just kill us with this, man. It's just you twist, you're tightening the jar and you tighten it one too many times. You like bust it. And I said, that's what you guys do. You're killing me with this stuff. Look at that. Look, he went and he shook everybody's hand.
Right. It's just, and like I said, we're just so conditioned. We see it all the time. It's almost like we've talked about this before. Just racism in general. Like even if an act isn't racist, but we think it is because it has been in the past. You know what I'm saying? And we've had this happen to us. Now we're paranoid.
Yeah. Like when they remember you have to get buzz into the store. Or somebody, you think somebody's following you around.
Why's that guy looking at me? No,
that's why
this is just another example. It's just in sports,
And then you got and we spend so much of our time making white people feel comfortable, and which is a whole job unto itself. Making white folks, whether you're on the job, whatever, feel comfortable. So that's part 2. All right, end of the NBA season. Congratulations, championship is today. What else we got?
Not much. I guess John Morant suspension is supposed to be coming. What do you think? What do you think the right suspension is?
Well, I got this bogus text first thing. It was this bogus thing on Twitter. Something said that the commissioner already has fined him like a suspended for a year.
That might have been from
I was like,
Ball
what?
Sack Sports. From Ball Sack
Yeah,
Sports.
yeah, yeah, boss. Yeah. What is
I
that?
saw
They're
that.
known
Yeah, they because their name, we're Ball Sack. So if you fall for Ball Sack Sports, that's your own peril. You know.
for. You look at it, I'm like
But plenty,
calling it.
plenty people fall for it though. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
no,
like, what? Then they
yeah,
showed clip of Adam Silver, but then they're like a voiceover. So yeah, I thought that was sent by like the Donald Trump people. That's what they do, because that's shit we want to be true. No, do you think a season would be?
yeah. I think that's too much.
Yeah, I mean,
Seasons. I think half a season at the most, and even half a season, I might, I could be swayed by the argument that that's too much.
yeah,
I thought like between 20 and 40 games. So if you gave him like 30 games, I don't think I could argue with that.
make
You
him turn in all his weapons.
know. Yeah, yeah. How about that? You know. And did you see the Zion stuff where he had like a couple porn stars fighting about him
What?
on Twitter. Yeah, Zion Williamson apparently he got one porn star pregnant, and the other porn star girlfriend was pissed. So she called him out on Twitter and in public.
Wait a
Said
minute. Is this?
I
Are we
was I
making
was
this
your
up?
I was your real girl, huh?
Are we making this up? Or is this
No,
real?
that's real. That's real. That actually happened.
What?
Yeah. So Zion needs to, he showed a little immaturity with this with this latest episode.
So he got one porn star pregnant, and the other porn star is pissed.
Yes,
So we see what he's doing in his spare time when he's
exactly.
supposed to be rehabbing,
Yeah,
eating,
he's rehabbing all right.
eating cornbread and watching porn stars. That ain't the recipe to success, brother.
No. So I just hope he gets that out of his system. How about that?
Well,
That's
good
all I
luck
can
with
say.
that.
Yeah.
Oh
But yeah,
man.
that's all I got. I think that about there's nothing else going on.
And the NFL season, please start.
Yeah, we need that. And it'll be a hell of a season. A
Yeah,
lot of stories, a lot of storylines.
yeah. We got to get our Jets credentials. We got to call
No,
Sheriff,
we applied. We're in good shape.
the
I
U.S.
applied. I
Open.
applied. I applied earlier than ever. This
Yeah,
for the Jets.
I know. As soon as the ink was dry,
Yeah, exactly.
the U.S. Open.
Yeah, U.S. Open
Not
coming up.
quite as much as you. So I saw something interesting from the French Open where the Ukrainian players
Yeah,
were not shaking the hands of the Russian players.
yeah, I saw that.
You know,
Svitolina.
yeah,
She wouldn't shake the Russians' hands, and she said it ahead of time that was going to be her protest. So, you know.
yeah. Don't get captured. That's all I can say. All right. Well, good, man. Well, this is short and sweet, and
Yeah.
next week I said
Next
we're gonna
next week we'll advertise it on YouTube so we get a couple viewers.
yeah, at least 2, 3.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening. Jamal, have a great rest of the week. What do we do now, man? May I get on TV and watch cricket?
Yeah, it's Netflix season right now. Netflix
Yeah.
season. And before we go, we're brought to you by Bet Online. Check out our podcast wherever you get your podcasts on the audio side. We're there, and like Bill said, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. And don't get addicted to gambling, but use Bet Online.
Yes, use Bet Online if for your little betting fetishes.
Yeah, and stay away from Zion. Speaking of fetishes, oh my God, these young people, man, with all this dough, man.
Too much money. There was a meme going around, a new movie with John Morant and Zion Williamson called Buns and Guns.
Oh, brother. Unreal. You can't make this stuff up, man.
Nope, can't make it up.
All right, everybody. Stay strong, keep the peace, keep the faith rather, and keep praying. God bless.